All right, let's talk about a playbook that is completely changing the game for small and medium-sized businesses. We're going to get into a powerful strategy that's all about one simple idea: taking back control of your own customer relationships. So let's just kick things off with the big number, shall we? 219%. That's the average revenue increase that a whole group of companies saw when they switched to the strategy we're about to break down. An incredible jump, right? So how on earth did they do it? Well, it all starts with a huge problem that I'm sure you felt too. You know the old routine, right? You pay for ads, you try to build a following on social media, you basically rent space on these giant platforms and just hope for the best. But let's be honest, with ad costs going through the roof and algorithms changing every 5 minutes, that whole approach is just breaking down. It's getting harder and harder to actually connect with the people you want to serve. And it really comes down to this choice right here. The old way is renting. You're building your business on someone else's land. Think Facebook, Google, you name it. They make the rules, they can change the game on you overnight. But the new way, the way these companies are succeeding, is by owning. It's about creating your own digital home, a space where you build a direct, powerful, and unfiltered relationship with your customers. Okay, so you're probably thinking, great, but how do I actually do that without a massive budget and a team of developers? Well, the companies we're looking at all used a platform called Web4.community, and it was built to solve exactly this problem. Let's see how it works. The whole advantage of this platform really boils down to these three game-changing things. First, you can get it up and running instantly. Second, it has this totally new pricing model called pay-per-active customer. And third, because of those first 2 points, it basically guarantees an immediate return on your investment. Let me show you what I mean. Look at this. What used to take months of coding and planning can now literally be done in minutes. We're talking less time than it takes to make a cup of coffee. You just configure your brand, connect it to your other tools, and boom, you launch. It puts all the power right into the hands of the business. No tech team required. Now, this might be the most brilliant part of the whole thing, the pricing. It's called pay per active customer. So instead of paying these huge fixed fees for licenses or servers, you only pay a tiny fee for the customers who are actually engaged that month. Think about that. Your costs are perfectly tied to value. If you are active, they're also buying things, getting support, and building your brand. It completely removes the financial risk. Okay, so that's the theory. But does this stuff actually work in the real world? Oh yeah, it does. Let's dive into the proof. We're going to look at 3 amazing but totally different examples from the US, Germany, and India. First up, Pinnacle Tools. They're a software company in the US for the construction industry. Their big problem? Sky-high support costs and getting new users up to speed. So, using Web4.community, they created the Build Hub, a private community just for their pro users. And look what happened. Just wow. Their revenue didn't just grow, it exploded. From $8.5 million to over $28 million. That's a 230% jump. Their community became the heart of their business, turning their customers into this super loyal, helpful network. And here's the kicker. The ROI wasn't something they had to wait months for. It was immediate. In the very first month, the community members themselves answered 85% of all support questions. The money they saved on support costs alone was 4 times what they paid for the platform. I mean, that's a total no-brainer. Okay, so that was a software company. Now let's see how this works for a totally different business. This is Heimat Art, a German brand that sells high-end artisan foods online. To justify their premium prices, they really needed to tell the story behind their products. So they used Web4.community to launch the Makers Table. And surprise, surprise, the impact was just as incredible. Their revenue shot up from $2.1 million to $7.3 million. That's a 247% increase. Their community became this amazing place where they could do live streams with the actual farmers and artisans, creating this incredible sense of connection and authenticity. For them, the return on investment was also immediate, but it came from a different place. Customers who watched those live streams in the community simply spent more money. Their average order value went way up. That instant lift in sales more than paid for the platform from day one. It proved the community was an incredibly powerful sales channel. For our last example, let's head over to India. This is Bharat Pay Micro, a fintech company that gives out microloans. Now, their biggest challenge wasn't software, it was trust. How do you manage financial risk? They launched a community on Web4.community called Sati Samudai, which means community of companions. And the impact was just mind-blowing, a 249% revenue increase, jumping from 5.5 million to 19.2 million. They basically used the community to create a system of social trust. Members could vouch for each other and hold each other accountable, creating this powerful safety net that traditional banking just can't replicate. Now, this might be the most fascinating ROI of all. For them, it was all about reducing risk. Because of that social accountability in the community, the number of late payments dropped immediately. Just by preventing a few loans from going bad, they instantly saved more money than the platform cost. It made their entire business healthier overnight. So these are just 3 stories out of the 10 companies they looked at in the report. But you can see the pattern, right? They all tell the same story. So now let's zoom out and see what happens when you put all of these incredible successes together. And when you look at the combined data, the story is just staggering. Across all 10 companies, the average revenue shot up by that 219% we started with. Customer retention climbed to an incredible 96%, and for the B2B companies, they were closing deals 40% faster. All of this powered by a platform that paid for itself right out of the gate. So, what's the big lesson here? What should we take away from all of this? Well, the data is pointing to a really fundamental shift in how we need to think about growing a business. The report puts it perfectly. The era of relying on third-party algorithms for customer connection is over. That old strategy of just renting an audience from big tech is dying. The future, the real growth, belongs to businesses that build, nurture, and actually own their digital relationships. It's about becoming a community builder, not just an advertiser. And so that really leaves us with one final and, I think, very important question to ask yourself. When you're trying to connect with your customers online, who is really in control of that relationship? Is it you, or is it some algorithm that you can't see and can't influence? The answer to that question might just be the most important one for the future of your business.